welcome back. In the previous video, we did talk about the AWS Elastic File System, EFS, and today we will talk about the EFS with Lambda, why we need it, and how it works, and how to use. So, using AWS Elastic File System, EFS, with Amazon Lambda, allow your functions to securely read, write, and persist large amounts of data at low latency. This integration extends the storage capabilities of Lambda beyond the default ephemeral storage limit, enables a new pattern for serverless applications such as sharing data across function invocation and processing large files. So how to use AWS EFS with Lambda? You will do this in five steps. We will create a dedicated video to talk on these steps in details, but you create a new file system. Number two, in this one, you firstly create a EFS file system in the AWS Management Console. Ensure that it's in the same VPC as your Lambda function, and we will do a dedicated videos for VPC. And yeah, we'll do some videos to manage all of that. After that, you configure mount points. You configure mount points, so you set up mount points for EFS file system in your VPC. These mount points should be in the subnets that have access to your Lambda functions. After that, you will attach the EFS file system to the Lambda. Like when configuring your Lambda function, you can attach the EFS file system. Specifies the mount path that your Lambda function will use to access a file system. And lastly, we have two more steps. You will update IAM permissions. Like ensure your Lambda function execution rule has the necessary permissions to access the EFS. And lastly, you will write Lambda functions code. As always, this one in your Lambda functions code, you can read and write from the EFS mount path as if it were a local path. Let's talk about the use cases, because I guess it's quite important. So I would say number one, the use cases for the Lambda function, it will be large file processing. Lambda functions can process large file storage in EFS, which is particularly useful for applications like data transformations or media processing. We have data persistence across invocations. Number two, let's go to number two. Unlike the ephemeral storage in Lambda, data written in EFS persist across function invocation. This is useful for applications that require a state persistence. You have shared data access. So this multiple Lambda functions can access and process the same data stored in EFS, enabling a more complex workloads and data processing patterns. Lastly, you can use it in machine learning and data analysis. So EFS can store large data sets used by Lambda functions for machine learning, interface, or data analysis tasks. So what is the benefits from using the EFS? EFS. So what are the benefits? The first one that I would say, it's a persistent storage. So Lambda functions can access a persistent storage layer, which is not naturally possible with Lambda's inferior storage. Also, it's a great in terms of scalability. EFS automatically scales both in terms of storage capacities and throughput to meet the needs of the Lambda functions accessing it. Number 3, we have low latency. So EFS provides low latency access to files, which is crucial for performance sensitive application. I guess lastly we should talk about some considerations. So VPS configuration Lambda functions. First thing that we should talk about the VPS configuration. So Lambda functions using EFS must be configured to run in the same VPS as the EFS file system. The cold start impact also we should talk about that. So using EFS with Lambda might increase the cold start time due to the mounting process. Lastly, the security. You should be concerned about that because a proper security measures such as configuring security groups and access points are essential to protect your data. So it's important to put this into consideration. So by integrating EFS with Lambda, you can build serverless application that requires file storage capabilities beyond the default limits of AWS Lambda, enabling more versatile and powerful serverless architecture. So that's it for this video. I hope you like my content. If you like my content, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a video, and see you in future problems.